everyone, it's Carla from Carla's Cakes and welcome to Carla in the Kitchen. Today is all about s'mores. We're going to put s'mores on anything we can. We're going to start off with making a s'mores pull-apart monkey bread. So it's actually dough balls and we're filling it with s'mores inside and outside. I'm going to put some marshmallow fluff, some caramel, and some ganache. I'm even going to show you how to make ganache from scratch. And then we're going to make a s'mores dip. So you can actually grab your graham crackers, dip it into the s'mores dip, and create your own cute little sandwiches from home. You don't even need a campfire. Let's get started. So let's start off making the super delicious and super fun pull-apart monkey bread, but we're doing a s'mores edition. I love s'mores, so this is the best way to enjoy it. It's a really easy bread to do. There's only 4 ingredients plus your cream, so it's actually something that you can do from home. You don't need any yeast, so it's not a difficult bread to do, and you don't have to wait for it to rise. You know, when you make a bread, you make the yeast, you have to set it aside. You know, when I did the brioche episode, we had to set it aside for 20 minutes, and so this one's really easy. What you're going to need for this recipe is 3 cups of flour. You're going to need 1 cup of cold butter, and you want to chop them up into small little cubes, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. Then you're going to need 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Make sure it's powder because we want our bread to puff up. And 1 teaspoon of salt. We're going to mix these together and then we're going to slowly add in 1 cup of whipping cream. So the reason why we have these into cubes is because we want to create a sandy mixture. So we're actually creating a biscuit dough, and you'll see how that turns out. I have my mixer. We're going to use a stand mixer, and what you're going to do is just add in your flour right into the mixer, just like that. And then I'm going to add my baking powder right in, my salt, and then I'm going to add my chunks of butter. I'm just going to put it all inside. Whoop. Here, I'll use my spoon for this to help me out. So just right in there. Like so. And then I'm going to turn on my mixer, and I want this to mix until it creates a sandy mixture. So for about 3 minutes, just like that. And once it starts to break up and create those little layers and the flour and the salt kind of divides with the butter, I'm going to slowly add in my cream. So it looks good now, so I'll just add in my cream slowly. And this will bring all the ingredients together and create a nice dough, a biscuit dough. And I did already prepare some dough earlier because it does take quite a while. So I'll stop this for now. But this is what the final product looks like. So it's a nice elastic dough, and it's really beautiful, and it's so easy because it's just the 4 ingredients and you don't have to wait for it to rise or anything. So I'll just move this. I have some extra flour so we can powder our surface a little bit. So I just want to work the dough just a little bit. And I just want to make sure that it's all together. Looks great, smells so good. I love working with doughs. I don't know what it is about doughs, but I really do love it. So, okay, so now here's the fun part. I have some chocolate chips. I don't have a measurement for this because I just use enough until I don't need any more. Because what we're going to do is we're going to put chocolate chips into the dough as well as marshmallows because we're doing a s'mores pull-apart. And then I also have, so this mixture, it's 1 cup of sugar and 1 cup of crushed graham crackers. And I mix it together because we're going to use that to coat our doughs because we're going to make small little balls, fill them in with the marshmallows, fill it with the chocolate chips, dip it into melted butter, which I've already made, and then dip that into the graham crackers and put it into our bundt pan. So by doing that, Because we're creating little balls and we're putting it into our bun pan, once it's all baked and you have your cake or your bread, when you serve it, you can actually pull it apart because each little ball comes off. So you can actually serve it with everyone and everyone takes a bite. So it's actually cool. So to make them, what I do is I'm going to grab about a tablespoon. It doesn't have to be exact. Each one can be different sizes. It's no problem. I would say about a tablespoon of dough. And you're going to roll it in your hand. And I'm just going to flatten it out with my fingers. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a couple of pieces of chocolate, about 5 or 6 little pieces. And I'm going to grab a couple of marshmallows, put that inside, and I'm going to roll it up like that and kind of just close the seams here. Make it nice and tight and roll that into a ball, just like that. So then with this mixture, or with this combination, I'm going to dip it into my butter. I want to coat it. I'll take some of the excess butter off and then put that into my graham crackers so that I can coat it with my graham cracker and sugar mixture. And then I put that into my bun pan. So I've already made some of them. I'll finish off this remainder piece of dough. And then what we'll do is I preheated the oven to 350 degrees. And this is going to go into the oven for about 45 minutes to about 60 minutes. Again, it depends on your oven. It depends on how hot it is. I would recommend to put it longer versus shorter because you do want to make sure that your dough is cooked. You don't want soggy dough or uncooked raw dough. So again, I'm just pinching in the edges. And this is a really nice soft dough, so you can actually mold it pretty easily. And then roll that into a ball. Dip that into the butter. That into the graham crackers. I love s'mores. S'mores seems to be something more that you enjoy in the summertime, by the campfire with your friends. Everyone gets together and has s'mores. And that's really typically the only time that you can eat s'mores. So this bread is great because you can have it. It's like a special treat that you would usually only have at certain times. But with this recipe, you can have s'mores anytime you want. You can make it for any occasion. You can make it for yourself. You can make it for birthdays. It doesn't have to just be by the campfire. So I'm just going to, again, roll this up. We have a bonfire pit at my house, and we always look forward to the summertime where we can have all of our friends over. We'll spend all night by the fire. One of my friends has a guitar, so we'll make our s'mores. He'll play the guitar. It's such the idea of having a s'mores and getting together at the bonfire. It's a very welcoming and it's a reason for everyone to get together and enjoy their time together. So that's why I love s'mores, because it reminds me of those times. It reminds me of the times with my friends and by the bonfire, by the campfire. And you can, this would actually be a really good idea too if you wanted to, if you're going camping or something, you can pre-make these. Make the bread, cook it at home obviously, and then bring it to, the campsite. You have it ready because this bread is made to be eaten cold or at room temperature. It doesn't have to be a hot cake. So you can actually make this ahead of time, so then it's still a s'mores theme, so it'd be perfect for a campfire at night or at the campsite with your friends. So this looks good. I've pretty much filled up my pan here, so I'll finish it off with this last one. So I'm going to put this in the oven for, like I said, about 45 minutes to an hour. It depends. I'm going to keep checking on it. And once that's ready, we'll come back and I'll show you how we can decorate on the top. All right, so now it's time to garnish our s'mores pull-apart cake. So to start off, for the ganache, I want to warm up I'll tell you actually, I have 1 cup of chocolate chips and I have 2 cups of cream. So I'm going to put my cream into the microwave because I want it to get really hot, because I'm going to put my chocolate into the cream and I'm going to let that sit. And while that sits, I'm going to explain to you the different ratios. So I'll put that right in. I've already warmed up my cream. So I did warm it up so it started to simmer. I'm just warming it up just a little more. I just want to zap it a bit more to make it hot, and we'll put our chocolate right in. So my marshmallow fluff as well, it's ready to go. I'm gonna just stick it into the microwave 10 seconds, and same with my caramel, might need a little heating. It looks pretty good though, so don't mind the microwave. So we got our cream. I'm going to, actually, let's put in the fluff. I'll just put that aside. So I'm just gonna stick my fluff. I already put it in for about 30 seconds. I'm just gonna put it in for 10 more seconds, because I want it to be nice and soft. So with the cream, I'm just going to pour in my chocolate chips right in. I don't want it to splash. So there we go. And I don't want it to mix because I want it to be even. Okay, so I'm gonna let that aside. So there are different types of ganache that you can do. And the different types would be, you can do a harder ganache, which is good for when you're making truffles. If you're making a truffle ball, you have a ganache and you can actually roll it up in your hand. You can make a softer one that you can use for filling cakes, or you can use for icing a cupcake. So it's hard, but it's not too hard where you can't pipe it. And then we're also, the one that we're making today is actually a ganache glaze. So it's something that you can coat a cake entirely, or in our case, we're going to be drizzling over our monkey bread. I'm going to take this out. This looks good. So the different ratio. So if you're doing the truffle ganache, you would want to use 1 part cream to 2 parts chocolate. So in this case, because I was doing a glaze, I did 2 parts cream to 1 part chocolate, because I want it to be more liquidy, so I put more cream. So like I said, I put 2 cups of cream and 1 cup of chocolate. And if I was doing a truffle, I would do the opposite. So I would put 2 cups of chocolate and 1 cup of cream. And if I wanted to do something in the middle where I wanted to use it for piping or for filling a cake, I would do 1 and 1. So I would do 1 cup of chocolate and 1 cup of cream. And it doesn't have to be 1 cup. So if you're doing a larger amount or a smaller amount, it's just the ratio should just be 1 to 2, or 2 to 1, or 1 to 1. So whatever it is that your measurements are, then you just want to make sure you do it like that. And for this case, the reason why we put our cream on our chocolate and we let that sit is because I want to make sure that my chocolate is nice and melted, and then it's an even melt, so that when I stir it, it all stirs together. If I stir it before it's actually been melted, so while the cream is hot, if I start to stir it right away, then it actually causes the heat to leave quicker, and it might not melt the chocolate fast enough, and you might get some chunks, and it might not be an even coating. So that's why we leave it for a little bit, so that we can make sure that all the chocolate has melted, and then we'll do it a quick stir. So I will start off, I have my monkey bread here, which we've already baked, and I'm going to start off with pouring my caramel sauce. Now, s'mores usually is just chocolate, graham crackers, and marshmallow, but sometimes I do have a friend who loves putting caramel into their s'mores. They bring, you know, those little caramel bites, put them in, and it melts, and it tastes really good. So that kind of inspired me to add some caramel on top of our s'mores pull apart. So I'm just going to drizzle it on top like this. Delicious. And as usual, you can probably guess what type of caramel I'm using. I'm using dulce de leche because I love it, and there's no caramel like dulce de leche in my eyes. You can use other caramels like a toffee or maybe a butterscotch would be good, whichever one's your favorite. You can even add, you know what would be good on this is Nutella. If you pour some melted Nutella over the cake, that might be good as well. Also, if you don't want to make a ganache, you can always do like a fudge. So you can make a nice liquid fudge and pour that over your cake instead of making a ganache. So that looks good. Now I'm going to, let's check to see if this fluff has melted. I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, this looks good. And like I said, I wanted to give it that toasty flavor, which you would get at the campfire. If you don't want to use a microwave, what you could do with your fluff to give it an even more toasty taste is actually put it on the stove. So you just make sure that you're constantly mixing it while it's on the stove, and the heat from the stove will give it that, for sure, it will give it that toasty taste. So look at that. Looks so good. Oh my God, I can't wait to take a bite of this. So I'll take some more here. So just like that, I want to put it all over. And I'm also going to add some marshmallow pieces on top, as well as some chocolate chips and some graham crackers. There we go. That looks good. Maybe some more over here. Yeah, that looks good. And now let's check to see if our ganache has set, or if our chocolate has melted. So I should be able to mix it, and it should be melted, which it is. So I'm just going to give it a nice mix. All right, so this looks beautiful. Look at that, it's gorgeous. It's like a nice shiny chocolate glaze. So now the last step before we start to put the garnish is we're going to pour some of, not pour, but put some of this over our cake. So again, I just want to do like a nice chocolate ganache drizzle on top of the cake. Oh my gosh, look how good that looks as it pours over. Just like that. Looks delicious. Again, if you want to do a fudge, then that's also another option. But don't be afraid to do ganache. Ganache is honestly so easy. Like I said, it's just 2 ingredients and it is so delicious. There we go. That looks about good. Maybe a little more over here. And I like how it looks, how everything is dripping on the side. Ooh, it's delicious. I'll put this over here. I'm running out of room. So now, okay, so in a s'mores, we have graham cracker crumbs, or graham crackers, but we made them into crumbs. We have chocolate chips, and we have marshmallows. So I'm just going to put some of these marshmallows on top of the cake, just like that, because it's always nice to decorate the cake on the outside of what's on the inside, so we know what we're eating. Oops. Just like that. That looks good. Then I'm just going to put a little bit of chocolate chips. So warning, this cake is not for anyone who's on a diet because it's got a lot of good stuff on here. There we go. Okay, maybe a little more over here. That looks good. And then finish it off with our graham cracker crumbs, and then we're done. So just like that. So good. So the dough, remember, it has the graham crackers over the dough, and then we're putting the graham crackers on top. There we go. And final touch. Perfect, we're done. That looks great. Beautiful, super easy and fun to make. You can make this with your kids as well, because if you remember, the dough is actually really easy to make. You can mix it and then get them to help you fill up the doughs on the inside with chocolate and marshmallow and drizzle it on the top. Looks awesome. Next, I'm going to show you how to make a s'mores dip in a skillet that you can make in the oven, no campfire needed. So the first thing we're going to do with our iron skillet is I'm going to spray it with a non-stick cooking spray. You can use oil as well. Non-stick is kind of the easiest thing ever. So we're just going to make sure it's really nice and coated, just like that. And I want to make sure it's super coated. I'll just put in a little more because I don't want anything to stick. I do want it to be a dip, so I want it to be easy to remove. So that looks good. Then I'm going to use my cookie dough right over here. And if you want to see the recipe for the dough, you can check my website. It's on my website, and you will see the recipe on how to make this really delicious cookie dough. So I'm just going to scoop this out with my hands. I'm putting it right into the center of the skillet, and I'm just going to squish it all the way down. And when you're making this dough, I would suggest don't add eggs to it, because then that way you don't have to worry about this cookie getting completely cooked, and it would kind of taste more of like a cookie dough, because you would, not that it would be raw, but it wouldn't be fully cooked, and it would be easy to make it like a dip. But as long as you don't have the eggs, then it's fine. So that looks good. I'm just going to make sure it's nice and even. I want it to be an even layer, because when I cook it, if I have one layer that's thicker than the other, when I cook it, the thick layer won't cook as fast as the thin layer. The thin layer might get too crunchy, it might burn, and the thick layer might be too raw. So I do want to make sure that it's a nice and even coat. If you don't want to get your hands dirty, you can wear some plastic gloves. or get someone to help you with this. Maybe you have a kid lying around the house that wants to help you out with the cooking, then that's cool too. So there we go. I'm just gonna wipe my hands. So the next part is I'm going to add chocolate chip cookies on top of your chocolate chip cookie because the chocolate chips are gonna melt and you're gonna get a thick layer of chocolate, melted chocolate, which is the best type of chocolate. So we're just gonna pour this right over my cookie. Again, I am looking for it to be an even coat because I do want it to be all over my cookie. Whoops. There we go. I did make this once where instead of putting chocolate chips, I actually put Nutella on top of the cookie. And so the Nutella baked and it obviously got really nice and liquidy. And when you dipped it, it was a mixture of cookie, Nutella, and marshmallow. It was so good. So you can try that as well. I have a friend who she did it with Reese's peanut butter cups. She put that, so she did the cookie, she did the chocolate chips, and then on top of the chocolate chips, she actually put the Reese's cups all over, and then the marshmallows on top of that. So that's also a really good idea. So you can try that. There's so many different ways that you can mix it up. It just depends on what you like and what your preferences are. So with the marshmallows, I got the medium-sized marshmallows. So you can obviously get the minis, you can get the large, but I just got the regular or medium size. And I cut them in half because I'm gonna put them on top. And I cut them in half because otherwise it gets too marshmallowy or it gets too thick. So in half is perfect. So I'm just gonna place this all around my pan like so. And then on top of that, we're gonna put some graham crackers. Now I just hope I have enough marshmallows for this skillet. So just like that. You can do it with mini marshmallows instead of cutting these in half. You can just put a bunch of mini marshmallows on top. That's really cute too. It's nice to see how they get nice and browned and like a campfire. Whoops. So just like that. And depending on, so when I make a s'mores on the campfire, I like my s'mores to be burnt. A lot of people think I'm crazy, but I love the taste of a burnt marshmallow. I don't know why, but it's just like the best thing ever. So when I cook this, I try and get it burnt, but a lot of people like it when it has that like toasty brown color. So it depends. So when you stick it in, so okay, when you put it in the oven, you're gonna put it in first for 10 minutes just so that your cookie and your chocolate melts. And then you're gonna turn the oven to broil. So when it's cooking, you want it to be at 350 degrees. Then after 10 minutes, you put it all the way to broil and let that broil and just keep an eye on it and broil it until you get the color that you want. So if you want it to be a nice tan color, if you want it to be more brown, or in my case, if you want it to be burnt, then I would just wait until it burns and then I take it out. Actually, when I made it at my house, I made it till it was really burnt and it started to smoke up everywhere. And my mom was like, "Oh my God, you're burning the house down." But it ended up being really delicious because like I said, I love to have my burnt marshmallows. So the house was fine. I have my graham cracker crumbs. So I'm just going to pour that on top, just sprinkle it over everything like that. And this looks good. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees before putting this in so that it's nice and hot. So there we go. Looks great. I'm going to stick this in the oven. Make sure when you take this out of the oven to use a cloth or something because the whole skillet is going to get really, really hot. So you want to make sure that you don't burn yourself. So I'm going to put this in. I've already made one earlier, so I'll just grab it right over here, and I got to be careful because it is hot. I don't want to burn myself. So ta-da, it looks so good. And I use the super large marshmallows for this one because I just wanted to show you guys the difference in two different types of doing it. But there you go, it looks so good. So we got our toasted marshmallows. To be honest, I did more of the tan color because I know a lot of people mostly like this one, but my preference would be this is black. Well, maybe not that black, but it would be nice and burnt. So this looks good. Now let's try it out. I did make this earlier, so I do hope that it's still kind of, oh, it looks nice and squishy. Looks good. Let's get a good part here So I'm just gonna dip my graham cracker right in. I'll use another one to kind of help myself here. Oh my goodness, look at that. Oh, it's delicious. So you can see the marshmallow and the chocolate, and at the bottom we have some, you can't really tell, but we have some chocolate chip cookies. So it looks really good, and you can just sandwich that and enjoy a delicious s'mores made from the house. Oh my God. They're really good. Would you like some? Oh my gosh, so good. Thank you so much for watching. Try and finish that. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked the episode. We made a beautiful skillet s'mores dip. We also made a s'mores cake. It was a pull-apart cake. I think I'm good. It was a pull-apart cake, a monkey bread where we made a biscuit dough, covered it with a s'mores glaze and s'mores dressing and everything, took it all apart, made our dip. It's an awesome episode. I hope you guys liked it. Hope you guys are s'mores inspired so you can make some more s'mores at home. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.